always have a parking lot in the back. It's hanging by the door so that you can, as the fancy strikes you, you can go and add to it. That's what the Post-it notes on your tables are for. The parking lot is to give you a space for asking questions of me that you, one, might not be comfortable asking in front of the whole group. Two, you might think we're moving along and I don't want to slow down the presentation, so maybe just write it down for later type of thing. Three, it can be a bit anonymous, other than the handwriting samples that I keep up here. No one will know it was you who wrote the question. But I just want to encourage you to always feel like you can ask me questions, and I know sometimes outside of these sessions, other than a hey in the hallway, we don't really see one another, so I want to make sure that we get this time as full of use as we can. And to that end, if you have any questions that come up as you go along, just write them on a Post-it note, post them, and I will answer them at the end of the session. I'll go any questions about the parking lot or my poor drawing of the car? Okay. So, just to get you into the session, I want you to think for a moment about how many hours on average did you spend reading school-related, but not mandated, outside of class during college?
0.
A week. This is a thing. This is okay. Additionally, furthermore, how many of you struggled with some of the college textbooks that you had to read? Okay, let's do hands. Sorry. That's fine. Let's do hands. I like that. Okay, thank you. Hands down. So more than half of you. The purpose of this session today is to think about how our students will interact with the nonfiction texts that they will be reading in all of your classrooms. Now, I know for the math folks, you might initially bristle at this idea of reading nonfiction texts and say, in a math book, you know, it's all problems, right? There are only numbers in a math book, right? No. Shake your heads. No. The truth is that there will be lots of different ways that your students will read nonfiction with you, but the majority will most likely be textbook related, and so that's how we're going to frame the session, and that's what we're going to think about. Starting with the fact that most, if not all, of your curricula will come from a textbook, at most. At the very least, you will probably be using a textbook to supplement in some form or another the work that you are doing, which is textbook free. Students use them for reference. If they're not using them in your classroom this year, they will be using them in some other classroom next year. And all the high-stake tests that our students have to take will be based on language and layout and all these ways that textbooks are put together. So it behooves us, no matter what our content area, to be ready and willing to show our students how to use nonfiction texts. So here we have our agenda and objectives. We've already breezed through the opening and why use the textbook. We're going to spend the majority of our time explaining some different textbook structures so that you can teach those explicitly to your students in the form of text mapping, GPS, a little front loading there. I'll tell you all about GPS, guided practice support later. The nonfiction strategies, and then you'll have a chance to actually practice those with some trivia on the Olympic Games. You'll recognize how the organization of the textbook makes them difficult, and you'll figure out some ways to get around that for your kids. Okay. We're going to start off by having you look at that screenshot for the textbook layout. If you don't want to pull it up, I do have it up here. And the question is, what would you guess is being blacked out from this textbook page? Take a moment, look at it. And then just take a minute and 39 seconds, buzz at your table. What is missing from this textbook page because of the blackout? Go ahead, talk to your table.